Okay, in this video, we're going to go over account configurations and preferences. So a lot of the other videos have touched on preferences because you're setting up a lot of things there, drivers and equipment. But let's just go through the highlights of how to configure your account and your preferences, and we'll go from there. So it's account settings. Click on the preferences tab. And I just want to go through some of the highlights. So each user on your team is going to be able to configure their own personal preferences. So if they have nothing to do with bidding on ship or freight, you can turn that off. You can restrict the email notifications, each user, of what they want to see in their email. If they're living in the system, they might want to reduce the number of emails they get because things are going to pop up. Then you get down to locational preferences. So each facility, terminal, trucking terminal, location, whatever you want to call it, has their own preferences, and they can set up what they ship, pallets, truckload. If you were working in Pittsburgh, maybe you haul steel coil. So whatever's relevant to you and what you ship and the type of equipment you have, you could put in steel coil. So that when you were creating a dispatch and you were hauling a steel coil, it'd be one steel coil or multiple coils or slabs. So anyways, you can just customize your freight volume units for each individual location, okay? And the reason we do that is your operation in Pittsburgh may be completely different than the operation in Detroit. So we just want to give you that flexibility. You also have the ability to have subunits, right? So maybe boxes. And just think about that when you're building a load. The more detail you have, the better. It's not a required field like freight volume units is, but you could have 25 pallets with 3,000 boxes. Default shipping hours, all of these I'm really not going to go over. This is more if you're running a WMS, so we'll just leave those there. You can have default shipping notes, so for every dispatch that you create. So if you wanted one note for every shipment, you could just simply type in, put this note on every shipment, and it would display on every dispatch that you create. Or you could do it by address book or receiver. So when you're going from A to B, if you need a hard hat or steel toe boots or anything you want to communicate, the system will actually remember that origin destination pair and insert the proper note for you. So just another thing to consider. Freight volume, that's where you enter a freight volume, either an exact amount or a range, depending on what you're doing. So cross-border, you might want to enter an exact amount, whereas if you're just hauling random FAK freight, it might be a range that you want to submit. Each location can put in tractors. Each terminal can put in their own tractors or assign their tractors and trailers to that terminal. Each individual location can have their own driver notification. So let's say you have a company truck operation in one place and then a owner-operator. They could have very different notifications. So we allow you to do that by location and drivers as well. And we've gone over a lot of this. On your bill of ladings, if you have or use a factoring company, you can put in their remit to address, or you can put in your own if you're not using a factoring company. So again, all of this is configurable to set up the account so it makes sense to you. Ask your staff to invite businesses and locations. This is adding addresses to the database. I really like to limit this to a certain number of people in a company, or use the contact database section to do it so you don't have bad data, right? Bad data in, bad data out. So again, if you have one person putting in an address and someone does it slightly different, you're going to have two addresses in your database for the same location. Not fun. You're also able to do shipment defaults. And this is just to reduce the number of clicks if you're operating in a manual environment. So let's say you do 90% truckload and 10% LTL. You could just mark that truckload, and again, it would eliminate selecting that on 90% of your loads, and you can go down and fill in what you can. None of those are required, but they're there for your convenience and to make the operation run smoother. Then you get down to company preferences, and this is really where you're configuring your account. So you upload your company logo here. You can change the color theme on the site, geographical area. Where do you run, right? If it's just the United States, it's going to streamline your operation. If you're doing cross-border freight into Mexico or Canada, you're going to want to click North American. Categories, you can set up different categories for your freight. Again, this is just for reporting and analytics. So one category could be flatbed, another could be dry van. And you're able to have, so you could call this equipment type. This is just an example. And then you could add flatbed, add dry van. And then when you're creating the loads, you could add this category, and then for all of your shipments, you'd be able to filter them out. Or it could be by material hauled, or any category that you think of. Again, it's just a great way for you to segregate your freight and run better reports that make sense to you and your operation. Reference fields, you're able to label these and determine if they're going to be required or not for your dispatchers. Again, we're just creating flexibility so that it fits into your environment. Here you'll have driver deductions. You're just setting these up here. Each driver management, and we've gone over that, is going to, some are going to apply to some drivers and trucks and some aren't. But this is where you set them up. And this is a debited account, meaning it could be from an outside, and it's going to create a upload into the system. So if you're getting other fuel tickets or whatever the case may be, this creates an uploaded deduction, if you will, that maybe you're collecting throughout the week and then you want to upload a file. So a little different than a transactional load. We've talked about this. This is your driver settlements in a PayPal environment. You have your ELD integration. And then prompt drivers to add a delivery receipt before they can deliver a load. So when your drivers are using the mobile application and they can't deliver off the load until they upload that picture of the delivery receipt. Again, just giving you control. That's what we want to do. I mean, URoute is a cloud-based trucking software for you to use, free of charge. But we still want to give you some power and some configuration settings so that you can customize it to your operation and make it fit perfectly. So just wanted to run through that short video, but just wanted to talk about the elements. If you have questions, please reach out to us, and URoute's here to help. Thanks. Have a great day.